go.
Hey, fans of the Monday Movie Club. Maybe we have 4 by now. What do you think? Here we are, our weekly video. This week we watched one of Amy's selections, the original Nutty Professor from 1963, starring Jerry Lewis. I'm Frank Gaffney. Here with me is Professor Frank, Joel Fenster,
Hi.
Mark Wotis partner, Lady, Annie King, and of course, Amy Goldman. Cringer will be appearing any second. He was just here.
Yeah.
Okay, Aim. Why the Nutty Professor?
I
In one sentence or less.
the first time I saw it I was either a teen or in my early 20s. I don't know what made me watch it. And in fact, I didn't even know how he was going to transform. So I just loved it. Might have loved it a little bit more then because I'm not a big fan of slapstick, but I loved it. And I just watched it constantly. And I couldn't believe how great he was.
Anthony kept asking me when he's going to invent the flubber.
I was waiting.
So
I was waiting for the whole "Hey, lady" the whole time. I didn't know what. That's from the Ladies' Man I read about.
Different movie. Okay, the Nutty Professor is Jerry Lewis's mixture of manic slapstick and maudlin pathos. This comedic Jekyll and Hyde sends up. All right, start over. This comedic Jekyll and Hyde sends up. Cass as Professor Kelp, a nerdy academic who drinks a miraculous potion that turns him into a smooth-talking ladies' man. Buddy love. Of course, he soon learns that the inside beauty is more important than what's on the outside. I had never seen it before. And I certainly have seen this character, of course, on The Simpsons, Professor Frank on The Simpsons, and of course the Eddie Murphy remake from 1996 and its sequel in 2000. But on The Simpsons, you get Professor Frink in little small doses. He's not usually, and it's fun. But seeing this character for an entire movie was a bit much for me. And and it would be great. It's like a Saturday Night Live kind of character thing. And Buddy Love is just ridiculous. I mean, why Jerry Lewis thought slicking his hair back and putting on some eye makeup would make him irresistible to women. Tough one to swallow for me. Oh, fun fact, Jerry Lewis did appear on The Simpsons as Professor Frank's father. How's that for a little meta? Okay, but not to say the film doesn't have its merits. Jerry Lewis, I mean, he could have been a great director in that respect. I mean, he there's some very clever things with the use of sound and the use of the camera, and some truly brilliant ideas for set pieces. And it was even chosen to be included in the Library of Congress as part of the National Film Registry. So it's recognized as an important film, one who had influence on subsequent filmmaking. Joel, you're going like this.
Yeah.
Is this the Armageddon of the National Film Registry?
It would be hard to narrow that one down based on everything that's in there is for a reason, and I kind of understand the reasonings behind this. It would not have been the Jerry Lewis movie that I would have picked to put in the National Film Registry.
Which one would it?
The Bellboy.
The Bellboy.
Yeah.
Why do you have the American Film Legacy on book?
Because this book is about the National Film Registry. And
how funny is
the National Film Registry.
Oh, okay. See, and I brought it up. How clever am I?
There you go.
All right. So, and yes, I think Jerry Lewis is certainly a gifted comedian, but his reactions go on too long, the mugging goes on too long, and the movie goes on too long. I mean, it could have ended a good 5 minutes before it did. And cartoon slapstick, just not my kind of comedy. I mean, right at the beginning, when she doesn't know where he is, and she's like, Professor Frank, and then she sees him through the window. I mean, that's brilliant, really, through the window of the door. And then when she opens the door, like the Roadrunner, he's in, crushed in the, Wile E. Coyote kind of thing. And very cartoon. But no, and the misogyny is really off the hook in this movie. And something I read said that he actually based Buddy Love on a version of Dean Martin, and he denied that. But I could definitely see how that. And then to hear him, singing, I'm like, Jerry Lewis, you don't have that good a voice. You don't need that.
Hold on. I thought I was impressed by it. I had no idea he could sing. I thought it was better than much better than I was expecting.
But we don't need the song in the movie. Come on, let's keep going. And but I love what movie was the one where he did the whole orchestra? What movie was that?
What movie was that?
That was funny.
Yeah.
I should know that off the top of my head, and I don't.
Yeah, he's sitting. Mark, you need to see that.
And why he was Les Brown in the Band of Renown. Again, I think in 1963 you had a band in your movie. I don't know, and the whole thing. Goodness. I guess I'm just not a hip cat. The whole thing with all the language of 1963 with all the kids and the
What kids?
They were like 30.
These college students were older than the high school students in Greece.
Yeah. I know, but I meant like him trying to be all cool and doing the language of the beatnik and all that. I'm like, wow, that really dates this movie amazingly.
But it didn't back then.
Just like the misogyny back then didn't date the movie.
Yeah, of course. So I'm saying 2.5 stars, but I want to go to Joel because I want to discuss Jerry Lewis as an oeuvre.
Okay.
Are you of the school like the how the French people love him? Do you think he really is on the par with silent greats like Charlie Chaplin and Buster Keaton?
Okay, let's dissect. There's a lot to unpack in there for a second. One of the reasons the French love him so much has nothing to do with Jerry Lewis. It has to do with the fact that his movies were dubbed by a Frenchman who the French loved, but they didn't realize that's because he was changing dialogue, he would dub over things that Jerry Lewis wasn't saying. So the French are reacting to their own French comedian who's dubbing Jerry Lewis and not really reacting so much to Jerry Lewis. So,
well, I mean, of course, on some level they are because he's acting and doing what he's doing. But you're saying he would change some of the dialogue, make it more French.
Yeah, no, not just more French, just more funny in certain cases, from what I understand. So, but Jerry Lewis is funny. He can be very funny. It depends on the vehicle he's in, and I think his heydays obviously were the 50s and 60s when he was working with Dean Martin and they did their dozen or so films together, and then the earlier stuff.
But even like you said, the Bellboy.
Bellboy's a bit. I think I've seen every one of his movies.
I've seen Cinderfella a few times.
Yeah, I think Cinderfella's a better film. And then his career eventually peters out, and until you get his supporting role in The King of Comedy and a few other things in the 80s and 90s. He's
Telethons.
Yeah, the telethon. Yeah,
telethon.
That's where I know him from.
Sure.
So no,
I wouldn't. If you look at the silent comedians, Chaplin, Keaton, and Harold Lloyd, and even some of the other ones, he's not quite there, but he's in that direction, And I certainly don't think we have any real equivalent to any of those people working today. So.
All right. So, Nutty Professor. 1963.
Yes. It's it had been a while since I've seen it. I remember enjoying it when I was younger, a bit older, a little bit wiser, watching it with my wife and some friends. And
some people would say jaded.
Yeah, they usually don't share opinions. Did they share their opinions this time? Yes, they did. We were all laughing very hysterically because I love slapstick. I don't mind slapstick until Buddy Love showed up. And then the film just died a horrible misogynistic death for us. It was silent until the end of the movie when they were like, why does he give this big speech about, being who you are on the inside, and she's still got the formula in her back pockets, and the father comes in and he's bossing the wife around all of a sudden, and I was like,
I would be like, you're thinking a little too much now.
yeah,
Not
well,
that kind of movie.
it's not that kind of movie, but unfortunately, that's how it's aged.
Right.
And that is part of it. I think if
Well, I think maybe at the time, even creating a character as Buddy Love was pretty brave, because even then I think he would have been pretty obnoxious.
yeah, I think that's part of the
But that was
problem.
his point. That was his point.
I think even Jerry Lewis said if he could go back and redo things, he would have made Buddy Love more evil instead of obnoxious.
Yeah, I was gonna say he said that because he was getting more fan mail as Buddy Love, written to Buddy Love than to Kel. And he's like, what the fuck? I should have made him more evil and less obnoxious.
But I think, in retrospect, it doesn't help the film much. I'm gonna give it a reluctant 2 3/4 stars. I'm kind of vacillating. It does have a few merits here and there. It is funny in spots.
What about what I said, Joel, about his directorial techniques? I mean, he really was trying to be a little innovative with the camera and with sound.
No, and he definitely is. Again, I would point to The Bellboy as being a film more in that direction than this film.
More innovative.
Yeah. And that's why I think the reason this is in the National Film Registry as opposed to The Bellboy is because this was the more popular film. And I think people are like, oh, we need a Jerry Lewis film in the registry. What do we go for? Well, The Nutty Professor, everybody remembers that one. It's an iconic character. And it is an iconic character, obviously. It influenced, the Simpsons at the very least, if not other things over the years. So it's
also on the AFI list of 100 funniest movies. Albeit number 99. But
and it was rebooted in the 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
but there are 98 movies funnier than this one.
Yeah. There's probably like 1,000 movies funnier than this one if you get down to it.
Well, the AFI, just to go on my little tirade, there were quite a few movies on that list were just important movies.
Sure.
And this certainly might be one of them in that respect.
So that's all I got.
And also, this is something that I've addressed with this group, definitely, is that you remember it fondly from a time ago when you really loved it, but now some 20 or 30 years later, or in Amy's case, 40 years later,
I saw it 15 years ago.
It's not the same movie. You relate to it in different ways.
Yeah, I mean, I first saw this, it was like a 10 or 11-year-old on, the ABC 4:30 movie in New York at one point, or something like that. And I remember it being hysterically funny. But over the years, I've seen it multiple times, and I think it just gets less funny. So.
Yeah, but I saw it for the first time on Friday.
Yeah.
All right. Annie King, did you think it was funny?
I thought I saw it, but I didn't. I saw it for the first time on Friday, like you did. And there were parts that were funny, definitely chuckle, a good laugh out loud. But yeah, it was fine. It was okay. I don't think I would need to watch it again. Some of it was just so silly, like his arms being stretched so long and stuff. And
I actually thought that was cute. That I think that's been parodied and done elsewhere too. But I thought it was cute.
Andy, did you catch Richard Kiel in the background?
Yes, he came in. Joe Osborne Bond. That's Richard Kiel.
He's like 6'10".
Yeah.
Well, not anymore. He's 6 foot under, but.
Oh.
Hello.
There's a lot of actually very interesting cameos. They're not really cameos. They're people who at the time weren't famous that you're like, hey, it's Henry Gibson. Hey, it's Marvin Kaplan.
Yeah.
Hey, it's Richard Kiel.
Yeah, there are a lot of, I'm like, that guy looks familiar. That guy looks familiar. I thought it was really cool how Stella Stevens' eyeshadow went all the way up to her eyebrows. It's like, what is that?
That was the time.
Yeah, that was like, wow. And
I've never seen her give a better performance.
I've never seen her before. So,
I don't know about that.
Poseidon Adventure?
Yeah.
oh, okay. I've seen that movie. Yeah. I wouldn't know what part she played unless I watched it again.
It's Rogo,
Go. Just panty.
Yeah. Just panties, yeah.
which my wife played with in Joel's rendition.
So yeah, and then just some funny stuff like how everybody turned to stare at him after he got his new suits and stuff when he was walking, or one of the scenes where they're walking into class or out of class and there's just people coming in, and it was like, how many people are in this class?
Oh,
You know?
because he was imagining her.
In different
Yeah.
outfits.
Yeah.
That one, yeah. When he was imagining her in different outfits. And I'm like, gee, that's a pretty big class. It just keeps going and going. And then I thought the sound effects were really good when he was drunk. That was
Yeah,
Yes,
that was great.
yes.
That's one of the things I was saying.
Yeah.
How funny that the chalk on the board would be like when you're hungover. But one thing I thought went on way too long was when he put the dean up on the table and then taking him down and putting him back up and taking him down. putting
I
him back
love
up.
that scene. And
My
they showed that
God.
on the bloopers, and at the end how they're both just cracking up, and you could see Jerry Lewis starting to laugh, and you could hear it in his voice. I was watching him, and he
In
was
the
losing
movie?
it.
Yeah. Just went on too long.
yeah. And I guess the best part,
Oh.
the best part was I just thought that Jerry Lewis was great in transforming from one character to the other. So that got it the 3 stars from me.
Mark?
This was my first Jerry Lewis movie. I didn't even see the Jerry Lee Lewis movie, so this is definitely my first foray.
Mark was
Into it.
waiting to say that joke.
And is it your last Jerry Lewis?
Well, you may be surprised by my review. It's somewhere in the middle. I have to admit, I was kind of dreading this movie, Amy. And then the opening.
I gave you this over the producers, Mark.
Wait, I thought you gave me this over Ferris Bueller. Didn't you take away Ferris
Yes,
Bueller
you
for
took
this?
Yeah,
away
I
Ferris
took away
Bueller.
that. Yeah, I don't know what the hell I did.
Well, let me just I'll be the first to say I would rather watch Ferris Bueller. However, the opening scene with the Keystone Cop fireman and the goofy cartoon music, and I was like, oh, fuck, I'm in for a really bad movie here. And then, we come to the next scene with Jerry in the principal's office, which turned my frown upside down. The low couch, the way he was sitting, the pocket watch music, I thought that was funny. And it really was like, okay, hold on, this is not going to suck. And it went back and forth. Like everyone has already said, it was too goofy and silly in parts, but other parts were legit funny. I enjoy breaking the fourth wall. I really enjoy that. But I think it happened a little bit too much. And Jerry was definitely a bit too rapey as with Stella as Buddy, not to mention just the whole inappropriate nature of that relationship to begin with. And he actually reminded me of a modern day Seth MacFarlane in the sense that they can both be sharp looking, sharp dressed crooners who can be funny and goofy, but they just go on with the joke too long, which is very SNL style. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it, but I'm going to go 2.75, which for me, for an old movie like this, that's like a 3.75 for a modern day movie. So I actually enjoyed it much
Imagine
more
if it
than
was in black and white, Joel.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it more than I thought.
watched Cowboy.
And by the way, I had to look the guy up right away. The football player Jock that threatened him in the beginning, they're the same exact age in real life.
37.
37. They were both 37. Yeah.
37.
When I saw him, I said, "Oh my God, this guy's 45."
Yeah.
How is he a high
Yeah.
school kid? That is worse, like you said. And I referenced Grease.
Like, how are these all like, returning college students who had careers and then came back to college?
Yeah.
The only other movie that I've seen, older movie that I've seen that was similar with having really aged students was To Serve with Love. I feel like those guys they were all the kids were like 40.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People looked older in the 50s.
Sure, let's go with that.
Look at
Yeah, but
Amy in her
Lulu,
50s.
whatever, who sang To Serve with Love, she was like 38 years old or 40 years old or something like that.
That was brought up with the people I was watching the movie with. They're like, they're so old. And then someone said they just looked older, more sophisticated in the 50s and
Yeah.
stuff.
If they had cast
But-
20-year-olds, they wouldn't have looked like they were 37.
Yeah.
Yes, agreed.
Although even Stella Stevens was 24 at the time. So
Yes, she looked closer.
All right, Aim. Now you said it wasn't quite the funny thing that you remember from 20 years ago.
Yeah, but one thing I don't want to forget to say was in the opening, I forgot like Mark said, the Keystone Cops firefighters. I forgot about that whole opening. And I thought, oh no, Mark is probably going to turn the movie. He's going to
Yes.
say, this is the first movie I turned off. And I thought, please, Mark, the movie is nothing like this. Stick with it. So funny that you said that.
It went through my head exactly like you said.
Yeah. Because I'm with Frank. I am not into slapstick comedy at all. So every time it had it, I was like, all right, not as funny as it was when I was a little younger. And even then, I didn't like it. And the gym scene was too much with the gym scene when he was doing this. You knew what was going to happen. But I loved the transition between the two characters. I thought he was brilliant. And I love Buddy Love. I love the way he would be like, and so cool with when doing the shake. He would always do the applause thing. It was adorable when he was telling the bartender to shut up and make the drink. I loved him. Loved him. I loved the movie. I still loved it. Maybe, like I said, not as much as 15 years and 30 years ago, but I still had a smile. Like just like the silliest things that I can imagine anybody else would laugh at. But when his parents were eating dinner, and the husband just reached over for a piece of meat, and the wife she's idiot. I was like, that to me was hilarious. It's
Well,
just so out of the blue.
that is
Yeah,
Idiot.
but you know, it's hilarious to you, but it happens here every night.
I think that to me, the brilliant part of that scene that caps it is when he pulls his fork back and he puts it in his mouth like there's food on it and there isn't, and then
Mhm,
starts chewing
mhm.
as if he's taken some of her food anyway.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Yeah.
little things like that. I think Jerry Lewis is brilliant at adding into to try to amp up the comedy a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. And that also reminds me when he, for some reason, I wonder if this was a thing in some gyms where he wasn't allowed to wear his glasses. Maybe they were too dangerous if you got hit. I don't know. Or he just made it up for the movie. And the guy makes him in the gym take off his glasses and he can't see that he's not there anymore. He has a full conversation and the guy just comes right back and the conversation ends perfectly. I love that. I don't think I really have anything else to say. I'm giving it 3.5 stars. I love this movie.
Would you date Buddy Love in real life?
Oh God, no. Oh, he's
Oh, okay, because you seem like you liked him a lot, and I was like, he's kind of a dick.
I love listening to him talk.
The
I love
character.
looking at him. The character I think was fabulous, especially because he went so 180 degrees. It was perfect. But you know, there were a lot of moments with Professor Frank that went on too long, and so I agree with you in that sense, Frank. But I still think he just did such a good job. It didn't bother me. But I was like, oh, we got to move this along now. And you know, the having the bird Jennifer to have full-on conversations with him, and how the hell did Jennifer get the formula into her cage and just eat it? It was just, you know, but who cares? I loved it.
Okay.
I just want to bring up something slightly not related, but somewhat related. We wound up having apparently a Kathleen Freeman marathon this weekend of sorts.
Love her.
Because she's in Hocus Pocus, and I'd forgotten about that. She's the teacher at the beginning of the movie. So
Love her.
Who was she in the Nutty Professor?
The dean's
The
secretary.
secretary.
Okay.
And I read she was like in 12 Jerry Lewis movies.
Yeah.
He loved her.
Mm.
And
He
I
loved Del Moore too.
she's definitely funny in the Nutty Professor. She has
Well,
some-
he was actually friends with Del Moore. I read that or saw it. And yeah, and he thought Del Moore was just hysterical.
Yeah.
Well, I've never even heard of Del Moore. I don't know who he is.
No, but he had a great look and a great voice. I looked him up, and just another trivia fact, he is exactly my age in the movie. I felt like he was much
Wow.
older.
Sure. Wow.
So if we want to see another Jerry Lewis movie, maybe we can plan a trip in a couple of years to Washington when they finally start screening The Day the Clown Cried.
Are they going to?
They
I'm
have
washing my hair that day.
I think they're gonna.
I think I have to iron my socks.
I think they're gonna do something with it when they're able to. Because when he passed away, he gave it to not the American Film Institute, the Library of Congress, with the stipulation that they couldn't do anything with the footage until after 2025. So.
Oh, wow.
Did you post
Alrighty.
something about that? I feel like I've heard that before. Why do I feel like I've read that already?
Because I've reposted things on Facebook about it when it.
It's got to be okay.
Anyway.
You're not required to remember all of the 50 posts Joel puts on Facebook daily.
Per day, yeah.
50.
47?
One time I
was gonna say higher
counted.
than that.
All right, so next week, Joel is making us watch Dr. No as it celebrates its 60th anniversary. That's a big one. And how exciting, all the Bond movies are now exclusively on Amazon Prime. So
Excellent.
you can watch it
Good.
Not yet.
on Prime
On October 5th.
on October 5th, starting October 5th. So you can watch it this week. Or borrow it from the library, which I did in a lovely 2-disc collection. And that's it for us. I'm Frank Gaffney. Watch a movie.
And also with you.